Previously on Survivor Renaissance.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am Lorenzo de Medici, Il Magnifico, because I am magnificent. I was born on January 1st, 1449, to the most powerful family the Renaissance has ever seen, de Medici. You probably heard of us. I am a son of some powerful statesmen and bankers, and I rose to be very powerful as I am now the leader of Florence.
Is there anyone that influenced you to join Survivor?
I would probably say my grandfather, Cosimo de Medici. He was really the man in our family who gave us a lot of wealth and power. He, very smart man. And I always looked up to him as a young man. I always tried to be like him, tried to be smarter, more cunning than him. And he really pushed me to join this Survivor Renaissance competition.
Sometimes in this competition, people do things in the heat of the moment that they regret. Have you ever done anything in your life that you regret?
Well, I wouldn't say I would regret it most, but some bad things kind of happened. As I was a very powerful man living in Florence, people were always out to get me, like my rival family, the Pisa. They apparently got permission from the Pope to assassinate me, and I didn't look too kindly on that. When they tried to attack me, they mistakenly killed my brother. I wasn't very happy about that, as you probably wouldn't if they killed your brother.
I wouldn't. I would not be happy.
Yeah, I know. So I went and lynched the Archbishop of Pisa and just killed all the Pisa family.
What makes you stand out in this talented group of competitors?
Well, I think I stand out because I've heavily impacted the Renaissance, as I've been a pretty big patron for some of the big artists in this time, like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Botticelli. You've probably heard of them. And, I kind of took them in and introduced them to art. And I don't think the Renaissance would be how it is today if I didn't influence them.
And the next person voted out of Survivor Renaissance is Lorenzo de Medici. Your tribe has spoken.
I didn't really see this coming. Kind of blindsided me, to be honest with you. You know what? Maybe I'll come back next year and I'll show him. I'll show him.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Survivor Renaissance. I am your host, Raphael Sanzio, but you can call me Raphael. Today we have some of the most influential people of the Renaissance who will be competing to be the lone survivor. I would be competing in this competition, seeing as I have certainly influenced the Renaissance with my grand works of art. Yeah, they were so amazing that they were even named Raphael's Rooms, and they influenced not only Renaissance but Roman art. And you can go see my works in the Vatican, but we'll save that for another time. Because today we are here to see the battle of the final three as they compete in a challenge for the immunity idol. I remember when I became Survivor in 1503, I was so well liked because of my many talents, and no one even wanted to vote me out because of my many influences in the church. I painted numerous depictions of the Madonna and also completed many altarpieces. The Madonnas really hold a special place in my heart because my mother actually died when I was 8 years old, and then my father died 3 years later, so those really mean a lot to me. That really affected my personal life. But this isn't the only art I've given to the church, obviously, because I still have several standing works in the Vatican. I was in fact personally invited by Pope Julius II to Rome so that I could work on St. Peter's. Now I know I'm rambling and we're really here for the players, but I can't forget to recognize who brought me here. Many of my influences began in the court of Urbino, where many artists came to, be the best. Many of my influences began at the court of Urbino, where many artists like me came to be the best. And I was actually born in Urbino, and then in my young life, I traveled to Siena and then Florence until I finally moved to Rome to really get down to business and do the good art. Not gonna lie, I was fairly influenced by Michelangelo, but then he showed his true colors when he destroyed my frescoes. But anyway, lastly, I gotta give credit to my day one, Pietro Perugino, who guided me in my apprenticeship when I was a young man. But I really didn't need that much help, as we can see, because I have a lot of great art. And that's why I'm here today and have been crowned survivor. Now we get to see who will be the next of this group of talented artists.
And now it's time for casting interviews.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Niccolo Machiavelli. I was born on the 3rd of May, 1469, in my hometown of Florence, Italy, to a wealthy family. I grew up going to lectures on philosophy by Marcello Virgilio Ardani. I also acquired some humanist education while I was an official of the Florentine Chancery. I'm a political philosopher and statesman. You know, people usually refer to Machiavelli as the father of modern political science. During my time in Rome, I sort of hit a road bump. Those Medici brothers suspected me of conspiracy, and I was imprisoned, tortured, and sent into exile in 1513. I went to my father's small property just south of Florence. Here, I wrote my most famous work, De Prince. Basically, I just go over the principles and qualities that the leader of the people should have and follow. By writing this, the church didn't like some of the ideas of my writing. For example, in The Prince, I mentioned how it is not always necessary for a leader to follow virtues. Sometimes it is necessary to pursue vices to keep power and in the people's liking. This didn't really go along with church's ideas, but it's okay. I'm still going to win Survivor Renaissance.
So what do you think about your early life makes you a real competitor in this game?
Well, I was born in 1265 in Florence to a family who didn't have a lot of wealth but had a high status. And so then I had an arranged marriage at the age of around 12, but at that same time I fell in love with this girl named Beatrice Portinari. And so Beatrice ended up influencing me a lot, especially when I started writing. And then I began to get into politics and philosophy after Beatrice didn't love me back, because that was a little heartbreaking. But then I started to get into politics. And then actually, because of my political beliefs, I was exiled from Florence. So I wandered around Italy for a few years writing, and that's when my truest works were able to be produced. I think all of this will help me throughout the game, because when I was exiled, I had to work a lot on my own, so I'm very independent and self-sufficient, and I can do my own thing and succeed on my own. However, when I was involved in the political life, even though they didn't like me, I still could get along with other people at the beginning. So I think that I have a sense of teamwork and a sense of independence that will come together and help me win Survivor Renaissance.
Tell me a little bit about your background.
Hello, I am Tiziano Vecchillo, but you can call me Titian. I am a Venetian artist. I was born in Pieve de Cadore. I had 3 siblings, and I was the son of official Gregio de Conte de Vescioli, and Lucia was my mother. I moved to Florence to live with my uncle eventually, where I apprenticed artists like Sebastiano Zuccato, Giovanni Bellinelli, and Giorgio.
Oh, tell me about some of your accomplishments that set you apart from the other competitors.
In my early life, I painted many religious paintings. Even my first commission was the fresco called The 3 Miracles of Saint Anthony of Padua. I'm also known for other works, such as The Miracle of the Speaking Infant, which I did around 1510 AD, The Assumption of the Virgin, which shows the Virgin Mary ascending into heaven, the Pesaro Madonna, which shows Madonna and the saints. I also painted portraits of influential church characters like Pope Paul III when I was commissioned to go to Bologna. I also influenced many painters of the Renaissance and later on. I focused on things like color in my paintings, the rendering of physical forms and showing body types, landscapes in the background. I also painted some non-religious paintings, including mythological paintings such as Venus of Urbino. I painted other influential characters of my time, like Emperor Charles V. I changed future styles of art to come.
Your Your challenge today is to create an insightful painting or piece of literature that you believe will contribute to the Renaissance and affect the church. I remember for this challenge I painted my first fresco for the room of the Signatura. Pope Julius II paid me big money for that one. You have 5 minutes. Good luck.
Ready, go.
At first, I was panicking in the challenge. I just didn't know what to write. And then it all just came to me, and I felt my writing powers just digress, and I just got it done.
At first, getting this challenge, I was kind of flustered because normally I have time wandering around Italy to think of these things. So, getting this on-the-spot writing task was kind of a challenge, but I pulled through. I wrote the Divine Comedy, Inferno, Paradiso, Purgatorio, everything, and and I was able to produce such great works in this little amount of time.
Time's up. Machiavelli, what have you created for us?
So I wrote The Prince. This is the cover. This is me. It is a writing about how a leader should be, the qualities that they should have to be successful. Although it goes against the church's teaching, it is probably one of my most famous works and nothing compared to these guys' works. This contributed to the Renaissance because some of the leaders at the time followed it, even though it didn't go exactly along with the church's teachings.
Dante, please explain your work.
So I wrote the Divine Comedy, and as you can see, here it is. It's a famous writing. Well, I think it's going to be famous. I just produced it now, but it is a poem about Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso, so hell, purgatory, and heaven. I think it's going to be a huge contribution to the Renaissance, as well as some of my other poems, such as Vita Nuova and De Monarchia. But I think this one is going to be my most renowned one because of how long it is, and how profound it is, and how insightful it is. And I think that it might end up affecting the church because it might be taught in Catholic schools, and I think that it might just affect the church in great ways. So that's why I should win this challenge and win the immunity idol.
Tishan, what have you made for today's challenge?
Alright, so this is my painting. It's called The Assumption of the Virgin, and it's really it's just amazing, isn't it? I mean, I think this painting alone will affect so many different aspects of the Renaissance. The church, I mean, this is opening people's eyes, giving illustrations of things. Since a lot of people nowadays are illiterate, it's a lot easier to learn stuff from pictures, so I think this really just kind of describes it. And also you can see my use of bright, vivid colors. Bright, vivid colors, which really will influence other painters to come, and I think I got this.
We had a great challenge today, but now it's time for someone to go home. First vote, Tishan. Second vote, Machiavelli. And the third vote is Tishan. Sorry, Tishan, you played a good game, but someone had to go home.
I'll see you later.
I knew Tishan was going to go home. He can't paint. I'm sorry about it, but just because you're painting something good doesn't mean it's going to be worthy enough to stay on Survivor Renaissance.
I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense that it would happen, but I thought I had it in the bag, but I mean, you know, I guess these writers will just, it just happens.